In today's video, we will be looking at what the GTX 1080 can do in 2024. So I've got 4 games lined up for you guys, which are Fortnite, Shadow of the Tomb Raider, Cyberpunk 2077, and, well, we'll do it guys, it's Starfield, yeah, we'll go there. But anyway, let's just see what the 1080 can do. Now this is actually a really nice gigabyte version. I'll just show you the back of it as well. A really nice backplate here. This is the gigabyte. Which one's this? This is like the gaming one. I'll put it below exactly what version it is. It's the free fan one basically. Now, little story to this before we kind of go into those games. They'll come soon, guys. But anyway, stick it out for this little story that I have. So I actually got this graphics card for an absolute bargain of only £50. So yeah, £50 for a 1080. Not bad, eh guys? And the main reason is, I don't know whether you're going to be able to see this in the camera. I'm trying to show it, maybe, like, there we go. So basically, I've had to put 2 cable ties round there to actually hold the fan shroud in. If you can see it there, hopefully. It might not pick it up very well on the camera, but there we go. So basically, the fan shroud basically was coming off like this. But the guy said to me who sold it, for some reason, I don't know how he's done it or what have you, he took it out of one PC and it was fully working, and then he's tried to put it into another PC, and then as he's put it in, the fan shroud's literally just broken. So I don't know whether it's just like flimsy old plastic, because obviously this is an old graphics card now. It's an 8-year-old graphics card, so maybe the plastic just got so sort of brittle and thin that when he put it in, and he maybe put pressure on the top of the fan shroud here, and then it's just snapped the fan shroud. But basically all it needed was just these little cable ties just to hold the fan shroud in, and the temperatures are perfect, so don't worry about that. The temperatures are actually, it doesn't get above 65 degrees centigrade, so yeah, actually that's really good. Not above 65 centigrade, that's actually really good for 1080 as well. So it's actually performing fine. The actual graphics card is perfect, and there's like no dust on it at all as well. So, you know, he's obviously kept it quite well, and I'm really happy that we've got a really nice bargain here, this free fan gigabyte version. It really is a bargain, and actually, as we'll see, it does perform very well in games still. And if you are maybe thinking of putting an old PC together, or like sort of like a budget build together, the 1080 really is still a consideration even in 2024 to think about, because this is still a serious graphics card that can actually game really well. And certainly if you're looking at more lighter titles, this is going to breeze through them. And even on those more heavier titles like Cyberpunk, still, as you'll see, it still does pretty well. So I think overall, guys, let's stop chatting and let's see those benchmarks, eh guys? So our first game up is Fortnite for the GTX 1080 in 2024 test. So let's have a look. We are running full screen 1080p, and we are running the low preset. And those are all the settings. So here we go, let's just start the benchmarking, and we're sitting around about 200 frames a second there, with obviously drops here and there. 11 frames per second is our 1% low there. So obviously, like I say, this is Fortnite, so we are going to have a lot of drops, unfortunately. Let's just see where we are on the map. Probably absolutely nowhere. Obviously, I'm not great at this game, so you just have to put up with that. But anyway, let's just focus on the actual graphics card. So the 1080 8GB, not actually being fully maxed out here for some reason. Obviously, this is 1080p low, so very capable of 1080p low here. Obviously, we're getting around about 130 frames. So I think actually what we'll do is we'll just put that up to medium and just see what that happens from here. So let's stop the benchmarking here. We'll just get up to medium settings, 1080p medium. Yeah, so we're on 1080p medium there. So let's go on to the benchmarks again. Now we are using a bit more utilization here, about 85%, nearly 90% there of the GPU's utilization, and our GPU is sitting around about sort of 58 degrees or so under our 60. So that's quite nice. This graphics card, when I've tested it, doesn't seem to go above 65 degrees. So that's pretty stable actually. So although we have, I don't know if you've seen, I showed you just before, but like I say, that bit of a hack to kind of get it together. It works, but yeah, it doesn't look great. But again, if it works, it works, and we've got a working graphics card, so that's the main thing. Getting another graphics card working is always good. So and it does work with the cable tie, so it's all good there. I'm happy with it. We are getting a lot of drops here. Again, 4 FPS or 2 FPS for the 0.1% low, 1% low of 4 FPS. So again, Fortnite is very laggy and droppy. It does drop a lot. So this is to be expected. But our average is about 120 or so. So that's pretty respectable, really. Maybe for the 1080, you probably would expect 144 FPS. So you can get a 144 experience, 144 hertz experience at 1080p low, 1080p medium. Certainly 1080p low, you can get the 144 comfortably, as you saw, because we were easily running it at low. But again, the low settings don't look great, so you would want to run it at medium. So it's a little bit disappointing we're not actually getting an average of 144 there for the frames per second. But I think if you maybe lock the frame rate at 144, you might do it. But yeah, obviously this graphics card is a little bit older now, and the RTX 3060 will beat this card now. And I think although the RTX 3050 is actually weaker than this card, so it kind of sits between the RTX 3050 and the RTX 3060. I mean, this isn't really the card that you'd buy if you were sort of buying like a new sort of PC and getting up and running. This is obviously if you've got an older rig and you want to update it a little bit better, then this graphics card would probably be perfect for that. But if you're buying totally new parts, I probably wouldn't go with the 1080 anymore, because there is obviously things like DLSS. You won't get all the modern features like you will with the RTX 30 series cards. So I would probably go with a 30 series card. Obviously the RTX 3060 is the one to get. But yeah, our test system as well, in case I didn't mention it earlier, is the Ryzen 5 2600 with 16 gigabytes of RAM clocked at 3200 megahertz. So this is really more than capable of Fortnite, this PC. You could maybe go down to 1080p low just to give yourself that 144 hertz experience, obviously. But yeah, more than playable. There are stutters, but again, it's Fortnite, so stutters kind of happen. Even if you've got a very modern PC and a very good PC, the stutters will still happen. So that is what it is. Obviously the graphics card only sitting about 59 degrees centigrade, so again, temperature wise we're fine there. And utilization is only about 80 or so, but again, this is Fortnite, so it's to be expected. Alright, let's see if we can get some action, guys. Oh, okay. I had a bit of a stutter there and then got killed, but it is what it is there. But yeah, so Shadow of the Tomb Raider next, 1080p full screen, and we're going to run at medium settings for the quality preset. So let's run our benchmark and see how we do. So 1080p medium here, 99% usage on the graphics card, so full usage there, which is great, 58 degrees centigrade, and we are sitting around about 110 FPS there, just dropped a little bit into the 90s now, but overall 1080p medium Shadow of the Tomb Raider, that's very playable. I might actually run it at high as well, just to see what that's like as well. But again, this is very playable here. We are getting some drops down into the 80s there now. But overall, I do think this is obviously a crowded area as well, and this is a more tougher area of the map. But once we go into the sort of bigger area with more nature and what have you, yeah, it'll be a bit higher. Here we go. So about 130 there. So that's all good here. Our graphics card doing really well. Utilization's a little bit down, but it is going to fluctuate a lot in this sort of game. But there we go, we're at 99% now, so that's all good. All good. Our Ryzen 5 2600 is a little bit old now, but it is still 6 cores and 12 threads, so it's more than capable of keeping up with a 1080, even in 2024. And obviously 16GB of RAM is going to be more than enough for most games these days, although some of the maybe newer releases might really push 16GB. But so here's our results, and at 1080p medium we had an average of 121, a minimum of 91 and a maximum of 203. So 1080p medium on the GTX 1080, Shadow of the Tomb Raider, really good pass. Let's just run it in high now as well, and then we'll move on to our next game, which is Cyberpunk 2077. So 1080p high now, stressing out our graphics card quite a bit here now, so 99% usage obviously, and we're about sort of 80 or something. We'll get into the 90s now as well. So it is stressing out our graphics card, this game, but still doing really well. Our 1080, still about 100 FPS or so, 90 to 100 there. So yeah, holding up pretty well in 2024. I think the 1080. I think certainly if you can get the 1080 for around about £100 or just under £100, it still is a very good graphics card to get. It's still well worth actually buying the 1080. Like I said, if you're doing a new build, I probably wouldn't go the 1080 because you get like the new features of like DLSS and all those sort of modern features that you get with the 30 series graphics card. So I probably would go with a 30 series graphics card, ideally the 3060. But the 1080 still, in terms of raw power, is still a very good graphics card and can still keep up with a lot of modern graphics cards even. So, you know, for such an old graphics card, well, what, 8 years now I think since it was released. You know, this is kind of Nvidia's absolute peak, if you ask me. This was when Nvidia were absolutely, you know, producing quality product after quality product and giving you great value as well. I mean, even the 1080 back when it was released, it was still quite good value. It wasn't like you see nowadays with like the RTX 4090 and it's like a £2,000 graphics card and all that. I mean, I remember even, I think the 1080 Ti, which was the absolute cream of the crop, and I think at the time that was released for £500, which, yes, £500 back 8 years ago would have been a lot, but £500 for an absolute top-end graphics card now seems like an absolute bargain. So, you know, when you think about it, Nvidia were given great value out at that time, and certainly if you invested in a 1080 Ti or even a 1080, you've had a really good run, and you know, you've done really well. You could still use this in modern gaming. Obviously you've got to go down to 1080p. When it was first released, it would have been a 1440p card, the 1080. And our 1080p high results was an average of 116, a minimum of 88, and a maximum of 195. So again, Shadow of the Tomb Raider 1080p high, more than capable, on the GTX 1080. Now let's move on to Cyberpunk 2077. So Cyberpunk 2077, 1080p full screen, and we're going to try it on low, although, well, we'll run it on low and then we'll run it on medium and see where we go. We might even be able to get high, but probably doubtful on this graphics card. So 1080p low, Cyberpunk 2077 on the 1080, and utilization about 95%, so that's great. And we're sitting around about sort of 80 frames per second there, jumping up and down a little bit, getting towards 90, and then going into the 70s, but yeah, and there we go, about 90 or so. So yeah, that's pretty good, 1080p low. You know, Cyberpunk is quite a demanding game still, so to get, you know, over 100 FPS for an average is still quite respectable for a graphics card, even in today's standards. So yeah, 1080p low Cyberpunk, certainly doable. I think we'll try medium, and if it struggles at medium then we won't go to high, but we might even try high as well, just to see what happens basically. So 1080p low, an average of 92, a minimum of 71, and a maximum of 113. So very good there, very playable. Let's go to medium and just see what that can do. So 1080p medium, Cyberpunk 2077, and we're sitting around about the 70, now just getting towards the 80 FPS. So pretty respectable again. We've still got over 60, which is the main thing. I say really as long as you're maintaining over 60, you're playable, and that's great. So 60 frames per second is obviously what we're aiming for, and we're getting about 80 odd there, so that's all good. Utilization's very good on the graphics card as well, about 97% or so, dropping up and down a little bit. Our graphics card is sitting about 62 centigrade as well, so that's also good. So it's 62 degrees centigrade. So cooling wise is all working perfect with our little hack that we did. So it's working, our hack, but hey, if it works, it works. And 1080p medium, a average of 85, a minimum of 68, and a maximum of 109. So again, 85 very playable, 1080p medium. We will actually just try the high settings now. 1080p high. We do actually have the Fidelity FX on as well, just so you guys know. But again, you know, this graphics card could actually just run it off with that off, but we'll try it with that. So 1080p high now, Cyberpunk 2077, and we are just about over that 60 FPS sort of minimum that we're looking for. You know, it is really testing the graphics card now at 1080p high, but we do have 60 FPS, so playable in my opinion. Even if you want to go 1080p high with Cyberpunk 2077 with the GTX 1080, you can still. So it really is holding up, this graphics card, even in 2024. For an 8-year-old graphics card, this is really impressive, and I'm really happy that, you know, it's holding up for all those owners who did buy it back in the day. Because if you really did buy this back in the day, you really have had value for money here. This is exceptional performance really for such an old graphics card, and I'm still really impressed with this. I know some people might be like, well, it's an old graphics card, we won't bother with this, and it's got nothing in it, and we want the new stuff. And I understand that some people are just going to want the new stuff, but if you're like me and you want a bargain, and you know, the 1080 still is a really good graphics card, so you know, I can certainly recommend it in 2024. So let's have a look again, and there it is, 74 average at 1080p high, you know, and a minimum was 58. So pretty much your minimum is still around about 60 FPS with a maximum of 96. So that's really good performance. Let's move on to a game which really is going to test it now, which is Starfield. So Starfield is up next, and we are running at 1080p low. So let's just confirm that here. 1080p low, yep. Our graphics preset is low there. And we are using FSR 3 as well, just so you know. So what we're sitting at, we're sitting, oh, okay. 1080p low on the GTX 1080, and we haven't even got 60 frames per second. Wow. Okay, I mean, Starfield really is a disaster, isn't it? I mean, how good were we getting with Cyberpunk? I mean, Cyberpunk was over 60 at 1080p high. So why is Starfield... I mean, the graphics here are appalling. This is 1080p low. Like, why? I just don't get this game. It really annoys me, this game. You know, just why do they make it so intense with the graphics, where the graphics aren't even better than the Cyberpunk anyway? So I just don't know what's going on with this game. But anyway, it's a bit of a buggy mess. But anyway, let's say we're about 50 odd frames per second. It's appalling, but it's not because of the graphics card. This is the game, not the graphics card, in my opinion. The graphics card was more than capable in Cyberpunk of over 60 FPS at 1080p high, and certainly at 1080p low at Cyberpunk we were getting into the hundreds. So this is just appalling, really. But it is what it is. Let's for a laugh just put it up to 1080p medium and see how badly it does. Graphics preset medium. It might even be fine even at medium, but there we go. Not much of a hit. We're down to about 40 frames per second there for our average. Getting up into the 50s now, so that's not too bad. But I mean, at least at 1080p medium you can actually play the game. I mean, 1080p low, the graphics are just so bad that you can't even play it. It's like PS2 standard graphics. But 1080p medium is just about playable, as long as you're willing to accept 30 frames per second, or at least just over that. you know, it is dropping here to about 37, 38 there. So, and obviously this is more built up place as well, so you will get better performance in other areas. It's all good from the graphics card side. It's just a shame that the actual game itself is the problem here. But anyway, yeah, we won't go up to 1080p high because that's just going to be a bit of a joke. But anyway, yeah, bit disappointing in terms of Starfield here. But again, this is more the game rather than the graphics card. But overall, I hope you did like that video, guys. A little look back on the GTX 1080. Absolute legend of a graphics card, and I hope you liked it. 2016 was its release, and even in 2024 it's still kicking, and I reckon for 2, maybe even 3 more years this might still be able to kick it as well. And you know, even in today's world, £100 is going to be well spent to get a GTX 1080. So I hope you like this video, guys. Please leave a like if you did. Please comment on maybe your experiences with the 1080 or the GTX 10 series, which was the sort of legendary series from Nvidia. And obviously please subscribe to see my future videos. And as always, guys, I will see you in the next one. Bye, guys.